Thank you for a great fireside, Charlie Park and Jenmin, for facilitating that for us. Really great to hear from Otterbox there. So I'd like to continue our event on digital retail in Asia by moving to the panel portion of the series. So in this panel, we will hear about cross-border trade, consumer behavior trends, resources for small to medium enterprises, and an outlook on challenges and opportunities for the coming year from our partners at FedEx, Payoneer, Meta, and eBay. So I'd like to start off with a general question, and we can speak with each of our panelists here about something that's front and center for all of our operations, which is the pandemic over the past 2.5 years. So I was wondering if you might share with us how the pandemic has been impacting your business and any fundamental changes to your business, the market demands or buying behaviors during the pandemic. Mark from FedEx, I'm wondering if you can go ahead and share with us first.
Thanks, Preston. So I think we've all experienced the pandemic and its impacts in different ways. And as with everyone here today, FedEx has overcome its own share of challenges during this difficult time. Thankfully, with our amazing colleagues and essential workers, we have done our best to continue keeping the world connected. So during this period, we have observed 3 interesting trends within the logistics industry that I wanted to share. One is that B2C experiences are really driving B2B behaviors. So consumers today are becoming more and more used to the convenient methods of ordering not only their favorite items online, but also foods and essential products. Now, this shift is also driving an exponential change within the B2B industry, replicating the convenience of B2C. So in the past years, it was about bringing your B2B business online. And going forward, we will most likely see optimizing experiences to keep up with buyer expectations also on the B2B side. Secondly, the pandemic has disrupted supply chains and availability, really increased awareness of risk management with SMEs. And this has shifted supply chain planning from just in time to a just in case methodology, meaning that the importance of demand planning and forecasting has severely increased. Pre-pandemic, merchants would optimize their demand planning to minimize shelf life, make sure that they effectively have storage space used as much as they need and the cost thereof. In the just-in-case model, they ensure a higher buffer to take into consideration any future unexpected supply chain disruptions. And lastly, we have seen an increased demand of sustainable modes of transportation, delivery solutions, packaging, and products. We've concerned consumers who are adopting additional measures today to shop and live more sustainable, which is also increasing the importance of offering carbon neutral shipping options and sustainable packaging. So these are just a few trends that we have observed and everything going on in the world today. It's really exciting to see how the industry keeps adapting and growing to these challenges.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Miguel from Payoneer, may you share with us how your business model may have changed over the last 2 years or so as a result of the pandemic?
Hi, Preston, and hi, everybody. So my name is Miguel, and I work with Payoneer, which is a global cross-border payments platform and the world's go-to partner for digital commerce. And for those of you who haven't heard of us, we actually work with businesses of all sizes across the world, from individual entrepreneurs to some of the world's leading digital brands like Airbnb and Google, Upwork, and eBay, so Jenny. I also work closely with Jenny here in the region. And one of the things that we do is we work very, very closely with customers, partners, and key stakeholders around various verticals in the region, including e-commerce, right? And so we've definitely seen benefit from the growth of global e-commerce during the time of the pandemic, and that shift from kind of offline to online has definitely benefited a lot of the things that we do for our customers. But it's also kind of made us rethink a lot of the ways that we think about kind of, go-to-market strategies, and even, working with how we engage with customers, partners, and even our own teams, right? So we really had to think creatively in terms of how we can go out there and meet more customers. Pre-pandemic, we were doing many events, and a lot of that had to go online, right? And then internally, when we think about how Payoneer brings our people together, because culture is really important for us, and that's something which, you know, has always been a big part of how we do things, which is bringing people together. We had to be changing the way we were looking at bringing people together from a sort of mostly offline to virtual, right? So everything from hiring to team meetings to town halls, right? Things which were once very, very interactive, we actually had to really think about how to make the virtual experience a lot more interactive. How do we make it more meaningful? How do we think beyond just, you know, a picture on the screen, which is a couple of inches tall, right? How do we enhance human connection and continue to build on, you know, this culture that we have within our company, but also the way we are able to support our customers, our partners, and the stakeholders that that support us in our business. And, you know, I think that things are starting to open up a little bit, but I also think that you know, opening up doesn't necessarily mean an immediate shift back to 100% face-to-face. I think, you know, we need to adapt to kind of a more hybrid mindset. And I'm really looking forward to, you know, doing more face-to-face, but also having learned the lessons of what works in the virtual kind of online pandemic era. I think blending those two approaches is definitely going to help us continue to serve our customers, work with our partners, and basically continue to help encourage more growth of e-commerce in the region.
Thank you, Miguel. And yes, I couldn't agree more. I think it was difficult at the beginning for us to transition to a digital world, but now that we're returning, we can be twice as effective and meet people wherever they are. So yeah, thank you for that insight. Actually, I'd like to go to one of your partners at eBay, Jenny. May you share with us how your business has changed over the last 2 years?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jenny. Nice to meet you. So I cover the Hong Kong, Taiwan, and the global emerging markets for eBay. So actually, eBay has been a pioneer for cross-border trade, and over 52% of our net transaction revenue is actually generated from international markets. We have accumulated a total of 154 million active buyers and 90 million active buyers and 90 billion. So in terms of the impact sorry, there was echo going on. Feedback.
Yep, okay. It should be okay.
Is it okay now?
Yes. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. So the pandemic has shifted consumer behavior worldwide. The consumers are actually well adapted to the shopping online, and that actually provided a very bright spot for eBay to achieve our growth. Despite the pandemic and overall rough economy, 54% of eBay sellers recorded growth since the start of pandemic in 2020, and it actually demonstrates a resilience of the eBay seller community. And actually, the resale of pre-owned goods, what we call re-commerce, is also another key trend which we witnessed since the pandemic outbreak. In fact, our survey found that more people, particularly the Generation Z, who actually grown up with the digital devices, they are turning to trade secondhand goods online for additional income, as well as pledging support for sustainability. So on top of that, as stay-at-home economy became the name of the game during the lockdown, we have witnessed significant growth in several product categories as well, including the home office products, home and garden products, hobby and recreation products, and health and beauty products. Trading cards as well, in particular, has recorded an exponential growth of 142% in US. And just the pandemic itself also created growth opportunities for sellers on eBay. So at the beginning of the outbreak of COVID, many of the sellers actually responded very quickly by listing pandemic-related items such as thermometer, surgical mask, home gym, and home office equipment, providing extra source of income to them during the pandemic. So as we step into the pandemic era, the e-commerce boom will inevitably fade, but the trends are here to stay and consumer will continue shopping online. So eBay will definitely continue to evolve and strive to become the go-to commerce platform for both buyers and sellers.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jenny. And yes, it makes total sense. People can react very quickly listing their items on eBay to trends like that. Well, lastly, for this introduction about our learnings from the pandemic, I'd like to shift to Andy at Meta, if you can share with us.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, President. So I'm Andy. I cover the Hong Kong, Taiwan e-commerce here at Facebook. So at Meta, sorry, it's always still a name change to everyone else. So I will talk more from a Meta company perspective. What pandemic actually drove is not a change in terms of direction, but it's actually an acceleration of what we were already planning to do. I'll talk about 3 dimensions. The first is about business. So we have been trying to or make efforts in supporting SMEs worldwide for digital transformation, but this pandemic actually helped us and actually to expedite our efforts in terms of digital transformation for the SMEs, particularly for SMEs, because as we know, SMEs typically, they probably, a lot of them, they don't have even a storefront online. They probably don't have a website. And so what we were doing was like, before the pandemic, what they can do on Facebook or Instagram, they can create a page, they can post something. But what we have achieved for the past 2 years was to have a second or third storefront, what we call Facebook shop or Instagram shop, where they can just list all their product using a single product catalog. So that really helps a lot of those SME to survive. We have a lot of good SME stories in terms of using this and reach customers, to educate the customer what they are, what they provide so services. So this is one of the things that I think is most impactful to the SME audience in particular, not so much about the like the corporate type of business. And the other thing about business is we also accelerate our development in terms of business messaging capability. By business messaging, I mean when people need to talk to a business, they try to find, in the past, they try to find Yellow Book, and then they try to find phone. And then nowadays, they try to find their websites and then find their Facebook. So what we're doing is trying to help SMEs to increase the efficiency of servicing people, reaching out to them on Messenger, on Instagram Direct, through different chatbots, different automations. So that's how we already was going to do, but this pandemic actually accelerated that. And the second aspect is really about employee, and a lot of you are already, like Miguel just mentioned, about hybrid model. So we actually announced our future of work, where we will adopt the hybrid model in certain roles. For example, senior engineer roles, they will be able to fully remote when we have the new recruit. So but I think what we were trying to do is also having the technology to power this kind of remote work. For example, luckily before pandemic, we have so-called internal version of Facebook called Workplace. We have been used to communicate beyond just email using the Workplace. So luckily with that, we still remain efficiency, and a lot of corporate out there have adopted Workplace in the past 2 years as well, increase the efficiency. So a lot of technology need to do there, and we are part of that. And then lastly, I think it's talking about people. So as you know, and many of us, we need connection more than ever during pandemic. We need to connect with people virtually. So, but what was lacking was sense of presence. So if we're talking about like this virtually, it's good, like the video quality is very good, but it's still lacking a sense of presence, and which is also one of the biggest things that we will want to accelerate the development of metaverse. That's why the company is also devoted to this, and then change the name to Meta, trying to create a sense of presence in the next generation where people can really feel connected, even they are apart. So that's what we have seen the impact of pandemic to us.
Great. Thank you, Andy. I really like the way that you put that, of accelerating the trends. I mean, these are things you were planning to do, but the pandemic presented the opportunity and the need to push that forward sooner. So thank you for sharing that. Many of our audience today has expressed an interest in the status of our cross-border trade operations. So as we know, a lot of borders closed during the pandemic, and many of them are still closed today, providing challenges in supply chain and logistics. I was wondering, Mark, if you could share with us insights from your perspective on the current logistics and supply chain situation. How are your customers reacting to this?
Thanks, Preston. It's a great question and a very important one. So we have, since the end of 2019, come to expect the unexpected when it comes to the supply chain. And in many markets, the domestic availability of products have decreased, and cross-border e-commerce has quickly risen to take its place. While this is a great opportunity for sellers, it's important to note that buyer expectations have remained high. Now, during this time, we've seen sellers reacting to this through improved communication and visibility to their buyers. For instance, in many cases today, the buyer may have their own preferred delivery time or carrier of choice. This means that merchants have started to leverage what we call a multi-carrier approach, meaning the choice of delivery option, estimated delivery time, and cost is put in the hands of the buyer during the checkout process. This is giving customers the option to choose their preferred shipping option, also helps set expectations, increases conversion and buyer satisfaction. So similarly, one of the common questions is, how do I deal with taxes and duties when I go global? And both buyers and sellers see this as a significant challenge to overcome when increasing their channels and increasing their market reach. Now, merchants are meeting all these customer expectations and challenges through added technology platforms. So we heard Charlie mention the importance of adopting an omni-channel sales approach, like being on marketplaces in multiple markets and so forth, while also having their own online shop. So depending on the setup of the seller, many of them are faced with a common challenge. And this is really, how do I orchestrate all of these different channels, all my orders, keeping inventory in check? And lastly, how do I generate my shipping labels while at the same time keep scaling my business and growing? So this is where we have seen an increased adoption of e-commerce enablement platforms in different shapes and forms. While many of us who are speaking here today play a part of the seller's life, these intermediary platforms sort of help SMEs connect all of that together. Now, FedEx sees this as an important part of the e-commerce ecosystem and is expanding what we call our Compatible and Alliances program to help enable shippers through these third-party platforms. So to try and really put all of this into context, merchants can today download apps, install online software, SaaS platforms, which will allow them to add visibility to their buyers in the checkout of their store. This means showing calculated shipping rates with multiple carriers, showing calculated taxes and duties upfront to buyers before they make the order, also showing visibility of transit times for each and every carrier, all while managing, all of their orders, shipping labels from one single dashboard and one single place. So this is really supporting merchants going from local to global. And most importantly, without any development needed, it's really a turnkey solution using one of, for instance, the FedEx compatible providers that we work with.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Yes, and it sounds, and that sounds like an effective strategy to mitigate the need for that choice of multi-carrier. Jenny, I was wondering, from eBay's perspective, your sellers, how are they adjusting to the cross-border trade situation?
Well, the global supply chain is actually the backbone of e-commerce. So under pandemic, right, it has posed serious challenges to cross-border trade. The rapid surge of e-commerce also stimulated demand for physical goods and piled pressure on the already fragile supply chain, so which subsequently increased the logistic costs. So as one of the biggest e-commerce communities in the world, eBay understands the importance of supply chain to both of our sellers and buyers, and we actually take the responsibility to ensure smooth and secure logistic between them. So currently we have provided tailored logistic support, SpeedPack, to sellers in the Greater China region in collaboration with a third-party logistic partner to ship their goods to more than 50 countries worldwide. Despite the suspension of air miles in many destinations during the fifth wave of pandemic in Hong Kong, Speedpack actually is able to maintain a high level of operation efficiency to ensure on-time delivery for sellers. And we also launched a one-stop shipping platform called CPaaS for sellers in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Southeast Asia, where we integrate with multiple carriers, including FedEx. CPaaS will be our latest shipping solution to facilitate and support SME selling on eBay. So, and on top of that, we also have the fulfillment operation, which is called eBay Fulfillment Service, because we see that as one of the most important aspect of any e-commerce business. So starting from last year, the service we roll out include countries such as Germany, UK, and Australia to provide the end-to-end fulfillment solution for sellers with faster delivery options, in helping them to improve their logistic management with a more streamlined processes and enhanced seller protection. And we'll continue to roll out the service to more markets in the world. And hence, for SME with limited resources, it's actually imperative to partner with a reliable and efficient logistics service provider, e-commerce like us, who are capable of providing a one-stop solution and taking care of all the complexities. So I think for the cross-border SME merchants, right, they can also consider setting up overseas warehouse in their target markets, which allows them to ship their goods in advance through bulk transportation and deliver to customers via local logistic partners. So such facilities ensure the timely delivery of the goods to overseas customers, as well as an affordable cost with a minimum of like shipping challenges. And when there is like at the peak season, say for example at Christmas, right, they can also like have all their goods already sent in advance to the overseas country, which also increase their competitiveness. Yeah, so thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Jenny, for sharing those insights. I'd like to switch to another element of cross-border trade, which is, as we know, whenever a product goes from one country to the next, going the other way will be the payment. So I'd like to hear from Miguel how Payoneer has been facilitating those payments for customers, especially customers based in Hong Kong selling abroad.
Thanks, Preston. And before I kind of talk through how we do that, I just wanted to also kind of share that many of the stories that I hear from our customers, and also when I heard Charlie talking about the success story of OtterBox, right? It's really, really amazing how the playing field for SMEs is being leveled, right? You see and hear so many incredible success stories of people that start a business really, really small, but then are able to scale to international heights, right? And in many ways, it's now easier than ever to expand internationally, right? With platforms like eBay, with partners like FedEx, right? And what Payoneer does is we actually also help many of these SMEs with financial products that many of them didn't have access to in the past, right? Multi-currency accounts, different ways to send and receive payments, and also many ways to sell on multiple platforms. So I heard about omni-channel, and certainly we are seeing really, really interesting trends around the growth of global direct-to-consumer sales, right? Where I think, in the US is projected to reach around 175 billion by 2023. And, it's like a 50+% growth from, already big numbers in 2020. And that opportunity and, that ability for SMEs to capitalize on that opportunity is amazing. But of course, right, there are always pitfalls. There is a lot of friction in terms of, how SMEs traditionally send and receive payments. And when you think about the number of different currencies, the number of different countries, the various types of payment methods that SMEs need to think about and worry about, there is a lot of complexity. And that's what Payoneer really tries to do, which is to kind of simplify the payments flow, enabling you to receive funds across various channels on a single payment platform. So whether it's from a global marketplace like eBay or from your own store, we are able to actually help you manage the funds in an easier way. And we've also just recently, I'm happy to say, launched a website checkout solution, which will kind of further help us create a unified experience for our customers, right? So being able to sell across multiple channels, consolidating all of the funds so that you can manage accounts payable, you can gain access to working capital, you can use your funds to, buy digital advertising on Meta/Facebook, and, ultimately be able to continue that journey as a growing international SME, right? I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to actually meet a lot of the SMEs that hopefully are on the call. If you are interested in Payoneer's new offerings or existing offerings, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Excellent. Thank you, Miguel. And yes, as we know, small to medium enterprise proprietors are usually short on time, short on attention. So anything you can do to consolidate that attention and work is definitely helpful and mitigate risk. So thank you for that. I'd like to move to a point that you mentioned, which is marketing and a digital presence. So I'd like to ask Andy, if you're seeing trends for our consumers across Asia Pacific, if you could share some differences that we might need to be aware of in Hong Kong and greater APAC, what can you tell us about the customer preferences on your platform?
Yeah, that's a really good but also a big question. Just like Charlie mentioned in the very beginning, APAC is definitely the most diversified region in the world. So that we certainly agree from our perspective in terms of language, culture, shopping behavior. So if from a marketing perspective, what we see usually is that the marketers will typically group APAC into several buckets. It doesn't mean that it's the only way, but what we see typically is like around the APAC countries, Japan and Korea, they are usually bucket in one because of the culture, because of the preference and the trend of leading the fashion. And then Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore sort of in the same group where the taste of products, they are relatively similar. As we see. And then Southeast Asia is a big chunk. And then even within Southeast Asia, there are a lot of nuances, but I won't be able to say too much. And then ANZ definitely is another bucket. So if we are looking at this different bucket, we will clearly see that D2C, like direct to consumer, is definitely very popular in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Singapore, very well accepted. Of course, marketplaces are also there, but if we're looking at Southeast Asia, it's predominantly marketplaces. So the implication for our Hong Kong SMEs is if you want to go to Taiwan, you can have your own brand, your own website, Shopify, Shopline, whatever, or a Facebook shop. But if you are going to SEA, Southeast Asia, you probably want to have a seat in one of the marketplaces and then try to leverage from the traffic of those marketplaces. And then also leveraging the advertising solutions to drive traffic to those marketplaces to your of your pages. So that's one biggest thing I would say. And then the other thing is business messaging. I talk about it's people messaging business, and it's particularly popular in some of the countries like Malaysia, Indonesia. We say conversational commerce, where people just like to chat with business before they place order, or some of them they just want to chat with you before they place the order, and then also ask your customer service to place the order on behalf. So that's also another trend that you would need to get prepared, get your customer service team prepared with a lot of inbound customer inquiries before the deal is made. So I think those are the top two I would say I want to share.
Got it. Yes, it's great to know that before you try to open your shop in a market that is primarily a marketplace-based market, it's good to have that information and to be able to be contacted by customers very easily. So, one thing that I would like to ask to share with our audience would be resources. So we're moving into the resources part of this, which is, and actually many of you have mentioned resources already, but are there any places that customers can go to study these trends or services that you're aware of that can kind of make it easier for them to open these markets. Maybe Andy, I think you've mentioned already a few resources in this regard, but sorry, I may have lost my place here.
Would you like me to talk about some of the tactics of digital marketing for the APAC? Yeah, certainly. So maybe I'll just follow the flow. So I think the best thing about e-commerce or digital marketing is the low cost to test and learn and to leverage machine learning. Because I still remember my first job was with Nielsen. So I was with the Nielsen market research company for 11 years. And so I still remember back in the days where my clients need to go from idea generation, concept testing, product testing, and it's like months or years of preparation before they launch a new product to go into the market. But with e-commerce, with digital marketing, this can be done with very low cost test and learn. You just throw the product out there and then to see the initial response. If it works, scale. If it doesn't work, change the strategy. So I think this is definitely one of the key version of e-commerce today. And speaking of machine learning, one of the key strengths on Meta or any other platform is you can leverage the machine learning algorithm to help you find the right customer, even if you don't know what they need. What I mean is, for example, in APAC, on Meta platforms like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, there are 30 million people that are Chinese speaking. So today you can already use your Chinese content copy to marketing to these 35 million people just sitting here from Hong Kong. And then to see who out there are responding well to your product, your business, and then you scale. For example, maybe Taiwan people will like it, or maybe somewhere like Malaysian Chinese, they will like it. So you can scale from there. This step number one. And if you have English speaking material, that's even better. There are 600 million people across APAC, are English speaking people across our platform. So you can use those English speaking content to test and learn. And then finally, I totally agree with what Charlie mentioned. It's about localized content, but localized content will require a lot of efforts and it takes time and money. So before you can actually decide which market to focus on, you can use this kind of approach I mentioned about overall Chinese speaking marketing, English marketing, and then try to pinpoint which are the market country that would be most appealing. Then you start to do localization. That's the different phases. And then the last one I want to mention, I don't want to miss is mega sales day. In APAC, mega sales day is a big thing. So, and especially in market like Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, they are very big thing. And then people in this market, they like to buy cross-border products in mega sales day. Over 50% of them out of our survey, they say they have ever bought overseas product in 2020 from an overseas country. But the other thing to mention is about the delivery cost, which I think FedEx has mentioned quite a lot. Charlie also mentioned this. I think it's a very good point where these customers, when they buy cross-border products, we see that they really want to have a bargain in terms of shipping. So whatever you can design, try to have some kind of free shipping mechanism. It's like buy a certain amount and get the free shipping. I know the mechanism can be complicated, just like FedEx has been trying, but this is very critical to have your foot step in mega sales day. People don't want to pay too much on shipping costs on mega sales day. That's what I want to talk about digital marketing.
Excellent. Thank you, Andy. Very insightful on that. And I think on that note, what you mentioned about having an efficient shipping option, I'd like to actually ask Mark and Jenny. I learned that there's a collaboration, between eBay and Payoneer. May you talk to us a little bit about the collaboration there?
Jenny, would you like to take that one? And I'm happy to jump in.
So for our partnership with Payoneer, we have collaboration in terms of all the APAC region. We're working closely with Payoneer for using the payment gateway from Payoneer for the checkout for all of our eBay sellers. So we've been partnering since 2 years ago, and so far the partnership was fabulous, and we are expanding together and trying to get more of our sellers and SMEs to join eBay as well as using the service of Payoneer.
And I think that the feedback, if I may, Jenny, I think the feedback from our joint customers has been very, very positive. Aside from obviously the hand-holding that we help these SMEs to kind of get started on eBay and continue to grow their business on eBay. I think that a lot of the things that we do together in the markets, whether it's online or offline activities, right? Providing more information about the categories that are growing quickly. I think that there's a lot of appreciation in the market, and I think I really see a lot of momentum building in terms of this partnership. And definitely as we look to continue to grow our businesses in the region, this partnership, at least for me, is very, very strategic and very important.
Yeah, I think on top of the partnership with Payoneer, right, we also partner with FedEx in terms of our programs. So we are excited to partner with FedEx to offer exclusive offers to our customers, which we have 2 programs that are in place. One is called the FedEx Alliance Program, where we provide eBay sellers with a competitive discount rate for major FedEx products. We target to provide small and medium sellers more logistic resources in helping them with their business growth. And this program actually covers Hong Kong, Taiwan, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. And on top of that, we also have another program, which is called the FedEx Compatible Program, where eBay is upgrading our shipping platform for Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Southeast Asia. So the new shipping tool, CPass, will be integrated with multiple carriers, including FedEx, to allow eBay sellers to use CPass as a one-stop shipping solution to send parcels worldwide. So this shipping platform will be launched soon, so stay tuned for more details.
All right, thank you both very much, and thank you to all of the panelists. Definitely be sure to take note of the offer here. With that, I'd like to move us into the Q&A section of the event. And we can start with some of the questions in our chat box. So the first one here is to FedEx about the tools. So I think you've mentioned one of these tools being the multi-carrier tool, and this customer, this commentary is specifically selling footwear to overseas. So would that multi-carrier tool be a good option? Is there anything else that they should be aware of?
Thanks, Preston. So it's a broad question. It also depends on the seller and what channels they're using. So as Jenny rightfully pointed out, we're really collaborating together with eBay on their CPass solution, which will allow you to use any carrier for fulfilling your eBay orders. On top of this, FedEx has its own plugins for all major e-commerce platforms that you can actually access for free from the native app store of those platforms. And we work with third-party SaaS platforms that are agnostic and connect to pretty much any platform or marketplace. So I would recommend, I think it was Peter, to if you do a quick search for FedEx Compatible, which Jenny also mentioned, we have a website where we list all of these different platforms that we partner with, and they work with a majority of platforms and carriers depending on your needs. And most of them, if not all, are free to use up to, I think it's 50 to 100 orders depending on platform. So good to do your research and make sure you find what fits the needs for you as a seller.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. And there's actually a follow-up question here from another commenter, which is, can they use the discount if they're not a current FedEx customer?
Yes, so it's really for anyone that is not a FedEx customer, but also a customer of eBay or Payoneer. So make sure to sign up with these guys as well if you haven't already, to be able to participate.
Excellent. Excellent. Jenny, we have a question about the consumer behavior on eBay after COVID. From what I heard from you earlier, that the activity has increased. Would you say that that's correct?
Yeah, so a lot of the people are actually working from home office. So there are a lot of demand in terms of equipment and their home related stuff to make sure that they have a good working environment, right? On top of that, I would say the personal training, fitness equipment also grown substantially. I think it's a trend that a lot of people are trying to make their home more comfortable to stay in during this pandemic period, right? So it, in a way, it benefit a lot of the e-commerce platform in terms of the sale of goods. So I think in the near term, right, the e-commerce is still going to be a key trend. So I would encourage all the SME to start exploring if you have not start selling online.
Great. Thank you, Jenny. We have a question that is to the wider panel, which is from Jenman about how do you handle customer returns? I think, of course, reducing a return rate increases your overall profitability. So having great content, accurate data helps that, but inevitably somebody will return something. So is there any advice generally from the panel about managing returns, making it easier and seamless so a customer would come back? Miguel, does Payoneer get involved with the return process in that sense?
So in that sense, typically we will work with either our marketplace partners or our platform partners in terms of facilitating those payments. I think this is a challenge, certainly, and a lot of it also probably goes to some of the risks that are inherent as well with cross-border commerce and cross-border payments, for that matter, right? It's really, really important to ensure that you work with, trusted partners, that you are actually working with platforms that comply with all the various regulations in different industries that enable you to support multiple types of, payment methods. Obviously, credit cards and Visa and MasterCard, that's really, really important for SMEs to be able to do that. And often it's really, really hard, right? And so that's also why Payoneer tries to make it easier for SMEs to receive international payments from the likes of Visa and MasterCard, and also receive payments from, marketplace platforms.
Excellent. Thank
Preston,
you, Miguel.
Maybe I could just jump in from a consumer standpoint, right? Returns are inevitable, and they're part of the cost of doing business. What a great opportunity is to look at a customer return as a fantastic retention or sales tool. So, as you look at your cost of goods, can you factor in a much more white glove or red carpet style customer service policy? Showing a lot of empathy, expressing like, wow, yeah, it's not okay that this happened. Let's make this right for you. Because as an SME and anybody working on marketplaces, you're going to live or die by those customer comments. And so, using that as one of your marketing tools, one of your sales advocate tools is like, wow, something went wrong, but you know what? This company made it right for me. And while there was a problem with their product, they've now earned a loyal customer. And so, it is, and it can be quite expensive, and it does eat into the margins, but it is also in some ways probably a lot more inexpensive marketing tool than some other methods.
Absolutely right. Thank you, Charlie. That's it's a phrase I've heard before. The cheapest customer is the one you already have. So if you can keep them happy and offer them something new or make something right, absolutely makes sense. Thank you for chiming in. I think that just about does it on our time. I might hand it back here to Charlie at AmCham and see if maybe we can show the discount code once again and close out the event.
Thank you, Preston, and thank you all the speakers. I was taking a lot of notes. Even though I don't own an SMB or e-commerce business, but I think it will be a good place to start. At the end of the day, Hong Kong is so convenient and it's also so well connected with the great partners, vendors that we have here. I'm sure that it will be like a really good side hustle to start when I'm still having my daytime job at AmCham. Yeah, so thanks a lot for joining today's event. And then if you would like to find out more about our speakers, feel free to connect with them on LinkedIn. And also, please check out the benefit that FedEx offer. Besides that, to close off the event, I would like to introduce all of you guys AmCham Launchpad. This is a series of programs that we put together for SMEs and startups, which means in the future you can come to similar events that will provide even more training and hands-on guidance to grow your business, whether you're SME, you're running e-commerce business or other types of business. So just let me know, or I'll type my email in the chat so that you guys can get in touch. And then thanks again for everyone's joining. And then I hope to see you all very soon. And hopefully next time will be in person.